I spoke a little bit about some of the elements of the practice, seeing ourselves as the body, speech, and mind, as the body of Chenaezig, speech, the mantra, the mind, Chenaezig. And we'll go through I'll make some comments as we go through the practice with a few suggestions how to attend to those things. One of the overall frameworks, suggestions in Vajrayana practice, three things to attend to: clarity or vividness of appearance. Another one's called pure meaning, and then the other one is called pride of the idam, all of which need some explanation. In terms of clarity, that's the one that's most easy to grasp. When we're stepping into this practice, we need to actually attend to the experiences there with vividness. And whereas in our ordinary experience we tend to think of things happening to us, and then we attend vividly to what happens, whether it being the breath is coming and going, so we attend to that. In Vajrayana practice, we're bringing the capacity of imagination, and so we bring the same kind of vividness to what we're imagining about ourselves as the idam, as we would to the practice of the four foundations in mindfulness, where we're attending to vividly to whatever it is that we're bringing our attention to. Since there are layers of instructions about elements of the visualization, it can feel somewhat overwhelming to think, I need to know all of these elements of the visualization very thoroughly and have them very, very vivid in my mind, and that they need to be exactly one way or another way. But we can relax a little bit with this. Exactly how the idam appears, exactly how Chenaezig appears to us, is the details in one way, if it's a little this way or a little that way, is not so important. But to be there vividly with however it arises, whatever we're attending to, be there vividly with it. So even if it seems kind of vague, be there vividly with the vague appearance of the four-armed form of the Chenaezig. Just be there with that. And one thing that I found helpful at some point was to think in terms of, instead of if it feels vague, which is a feeling tone and a feeling of dissatisfaction, if that feeling tone arises, instead of trying to get rid of the vague visualization and replace it with something clearer, to think, well, by the fact that I know this is vague, I know someplace what the vivid, clear thing is, and if I just look straight through the vagueness, I just have some confidence it's there. So just being able to be very straightforward and relaxed, but relax into it and allow the clarity to arise as we become more familiar with the image of the visualization. As I was saying, all aspects of Chenaezig, whether it's the mantra, whether it's the form, whatever it is, embodies all the characteristics. And there is a long list of things that go under the heading of pure meaning. And I won't list them all, but just to give an example, the four arms are connected with the four immeasurables. So that's one quality of Chenaezig. So everything there has some kind of pure meaning. In the same way, in our ordinary life, everything that we associate with has some kind of story attached to it. But it's a story of liking things and disliking things and feeling pleased that we've accomplished something or worried that we haven't. All the 8 worldly concerns are engaged. That's kind of the heart of our narrative. But any place we look within the frame of reference of Chenaezig, there's this aspect of pure meaning. And to start out with, if you know more, good. If you don't know any, just start out with the 4 immeasurables. I think the 4 immeasurables are kind of enough. But if you want one other one, the one face associated with the experience of one taste, that all phenomena that appear in the mind of the awakened ones has similar flavor. It's not a matter of liking or disliking. And that flavor also has the quality of deep insight into the nature of what arises. So we have clarity, pure meaning, and then pride of the idam. It's very kind of odd sounding, since isn't pride supposed to be something we're supposed to get rid of? All right. But we have in our ordinary life a kind of total fixation on our view of ourselves. We're always wrapped up in it. It's not that we're sometimes not fixated on it. We're always at some level kind of fixated. We're wrapped up in that, our view of ourselves. And the pride of the idam, very much like the way that Ringo Tulku explained it, as it's more like it's really there, it's like a total immersion in the identity as Chenaezig. Total immersion in that. Not that I am being Chenaezig, but that my ordinary self being something else, but just being able to step completely into that perspective, being able to step completely into the perceptions and activity. So those 3 qualities, clarity or clear appearance, pure meaning, pride of the idam, are elements there. The practice itself, though we have many pages here, there are only a few that really are the heart of the root text, the root practice. And the components really boil down to beginning with refuge and bodhicitta, establishing that orientation and motivation, then bringing the presence of Chenaezig into starting to step into that world with the visualization. There's a praise to Chenaezig. There's a short section, just a few lines, that describes the view as we step into the mantra. Then you could say it could be the heart of the practice is recitation of the mantra and visualization. A very brief framing of how to arise from that. There's the visualization, dissolution, arising, and dedication. So there are actually very few steps, and it's good to be able to have these clear in mind what they are. And then it's possible to actually step through this without the need of recitation. So without further ado, we'll do this once or twice, maybe even in this session. In the same vein as we've been talking about quite a bit in the last year, brief sessions are actually quite good. You can stay fresh and kind of vivid with the practice. We'll start on page 11 which is the short refuge in bodhicitta prayer. And we'll do that 3 times in English and then pause for a moment of instruction. Oh, one thing. When we're going for refuge, in this case, we're holding the presence of the Bodhisattva in front of us as the essence of all sources of refuge. It's not absolutely essential, but it's very good. We begin with that. So there's the presence of Chenaezig sitting cross-legged with silks, the forearms, holding wish-fulfilling jewel at the heart. The right hand, the mala, and the left hand, the lotus, radiating with light that touches all sentient beings, manifesting all the qualities of enlightenment present in front of us, surrounding us, all sentient beings. Also, all of us together recognize this is the manifestation of all enlightened qualities.
Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the excellent assembly. Through the merit of generosity and other virtues, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings.
Having held the presence of the Bodhisattva, holding that in our minds, the radiant space, we observe, we allow that to dissolve into space. We just observe that image, all the images that we've intended, just to dissolve into the space of mind for a moment. And when we do these practices, the transitions are important. Just as in the mindfulness of phenomena, the ability to rest with what unfolds moment to moment. In the same way, when we have transitions in these practices, to be able to attend to the transition as it unfolds is a key element. So here we held the image of the Bodhisattva in front, image, a sense of the being surrounded by all sentient beings. Then in letting go of that, we're present with the transition. And then when we begin the next section, it's arising out of this space where we've maintained, ideally, we make an effort to cultivate this over and over. Cultivate the ability to be with the presence of the Bodhisattva, imagined appearance. It dissolves into space of mind. Then out of this space arises the next sequence of the practice, which begins with the appearance of Chenaezig on the crown of our heads, beginning first and I'll read it through so you can just kind of go with it. So out of the space of the mind appears on the crown of our head, my crown of myself and sentient beings, pervasive as space, is a lotus and moon seat. Just instantly some sense of detailed 8-petal lotus, just a sense of a lotus, and then the flat white disk of the sun, the moon rather, resting flat on that. Then the appearance of the seed syllable, the essence of all the qualities and activity of the Bodhisattva, a Hri if you know it, or just a brilliant, small ball of light. The small ball of light radiates brilliant rays that fill space, offerings to all the Buddhas. Touching all sentient beings with loving kindness and compassion. Rays of light return, and the brilliant tree, the sphere of light, becomes a form of Chenaezig. Then I'll continue reading. From the Hri appears the noble Chenaezig, clear, white, radiating 5-colored light. Smiling and gazing with compassionate eyes, first pair of his 4 hands are joined together, holding the wish-fulfilling jewel. The next 2 hold crystal mala, the right hand, and a white lotus in the left. Adorned with jewels and silk, wearing a deerskin upper garment. Head ornament is Amitabha, crowned by Chenaezig's own root guru. Red Buddha sitting cross-legged with robes and a begging bowl. Chenaezig's legs are in the full lotus, or Vajrasana. Stainless moon as a backrest. Chenaezig is the embodiment and essence of all sources of refuge. This appearance is radiant, and this appearance, as appearing on the crown of our head, we imagine that all of space is filled with sentient beings, and just as Chenaezig has appeared on the crown of our head, so Chenaezig also appears on the crown and the head of all sentient beings. This radiant presence is active, and the radiance has a palpable effect. The smiling gaze, the countenance, the way of being directly communicates profound wish to be of benefit, profound insight into what could be beneficial for us, an offering to make whatever it is that we need for our deepest transformation to open. Recognizing the depth of this profound wish, feeling the presence of Chenaezig, we then offer the homage. This we can read together, once in English and then 2 times singing in the Tibetan.
Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenaezig we bow. Noble one, untainted by the mire, your form is luminous white. A perfect awakened one adorns your head. With the eyes of compassion you gaze upon beings. To Chenaezig we bow. Chokanji Marugudoka Ulajin Tuje Genji Drolazi Chenaezig Lachatsalo.
Let's do it 2 more times.
Jokanji Marugudoka Zotsanjeki Ulajin Tuje Genji Drolazi Chenaezig Lachatsalo. Jokanji Marugudoka Zotsanjeki Ulajin Tuje Genji Drolazi Chenaezig Lachatsalo.
Again, attending to this moment of transition, doing your best to sustain a sense of presence of Chenaezig. We'll turn to page 31, which is the next spot. It's the next spot in the root text. So with the presence of Chenaezig, of our heads, all sentient beings, crowned by Chenaezig, by virtue of our being magnetized and opened by our appreciation for the qualities of Chenaezig and the impact of the presence of these enlightened qualities. We then look at the next piece of the text here. And if we have attended deeply and are appreciating the qualities, we will have a sense that these are qualities that we aspire to. These are qualities that we wish we could manifest. And in this there's an opening, an openness. So we can recite the next part together in English.
By praying one pointedly in this manner, light radiates from the body of the Noble One and purifies impure karma, appearance, and deluded mind. The outer environment becomes the realm of Dewa Chen. The body, speech, and mind of the inhabitants become the exalted body, speech, and mind of the powerful Chenaezig. Appearance, sound, and awareness are inseparable with emptiness.
There are a number of kind of deep philosophical things mentioned here, but from the point of view of kind of the simple relationship of it, by opening, by the praying one pointedly in this manner, the light, you can just imagine this part, the light radiates, we're appreciating the radiance and the presence of Chenaezig. Struck by this light, ourselves and all, for all beings, when we're truly open, this light dissolves the delusions and confusion that distorts reality, that distorts appearance. This radiance cuts the chains of delusion in our mind stream, and we appear as Chenaezig. If we don't know the form well, just the notion of sitting in cross-legged, the radiant, rainbow-like form, the outer environment, it says here, becomes the realm of Dewa Chen. We could say the outer environment, all appearances from this perspective arise in ways that would aid our deepening of realization, that would sustain the transformation of all beings who found themselves in that environment. Body, speech, and mind of the inhabitants, including ourselves, become the exalted body, speech, and mind of the powerful Chenaezig. And from this place, then we recite the mantra together.
Om mani padme hum, 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 om mani padme hum.
So you can continue to recite as I'll offer a few suggested things to do with the imagination. So we're resting in the form of Chenaezig, this brilliant rainbow-like body which is radiating 5-colored light. The rainbow light fills space, touches all beings, meeting whatever needs they have, dissolving whatever confusion there might be. The mantra also filling space with the resonance of sound. The mantra, sound of the mantra coming not only from our own lips, but from all beings, even all phenomena resonating with the sound of the mantra. The mantra also embodying the same wish and ability to dissolve confusion and suffering. It's the resonance that dissolves confusion and suffering. When we're doing these practices, we can allow the mind to move through all elements and rest gently on different aspects. Perhaps from some time just resting on the form itself and the radiance of the form. If we know the details, we can let the mind just move through the details of the visualization. Sometimes you can just rest on the radiance as expression of compassion and kindness and love. Sometimes we can use it as an offering, radiating light of offering all the positive qualities, all positive things, all things of beauty to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then receiving blessing in the form of light, energy that streams back into our being, energizing our practice. Sometimes we can attend to the presence of Amitabha the same way, receiving the blessings of Amitabha, extending the radiance of offerings to Amitabha. bring the visualization clearly back to mind. The form, the one face, sitting cross-legged, forearms, holding the mala, the wish-fulfilling jewel, the lotus. All beings filling space. The radiance. So we hold this very clearly as we begin the dissolution. We can continue to recite the mantra silently as we begin this. Light filling space, all we imagine in space, the environment and the inhabitants dissolve into light. Begin to dissolve into our form as Chenaezig. Amitabha also on the crown of our head. This brilliant red dissolves into light, absorbs into our form. We're the radiant form of Chenaezig. This brilliance dissolving inward from the feet up and the head down, in towards the heart center, all collecting radiance, collecting in the heart center, collecting into a brilliant ball of light, or Shri if you know it, with our mind attending to this dissolves into itself, into space. We rest. And from the space of awareness, all ordinary appearances arise. They arise in their ordinary appearance, but our being and ordinary appearance of other beings and environment arise in the form of Chenaezig in essence, the union of appearance and awareness. The manifestation of compassionate, loving kindness. And we read together what's on page 33. Bodies of myself and others are the body of the Noble One. Sounds are the melody of the 6 syllables. Thought and memory are waves of great intrinsic awareness. By this virtue may I quickly accomplish the state of powerful Chenaezig and establish all beings without exception on that level. So with that, we have the opportunity to arise and try to recall that our fundamental nature is no different than the Bodhisattva. And from that space, we've dedicated the practice for the benefit of all beings. Thank you all for your attention and your practice energy this morning. Shortly we'll have our lunch. We can enjoy each other's company, and I think we have a few things to remind each other of.
Yeah, Mary, you might need a microphone.
Hello. Hello. Bodhisattva celebration, aka Bodhisattva Night, is coming up the 15th of December. And we invite everybody to come, family, friends, anybody, children especially. This year, our intention is to create kind of a homey atmosphere downstairs, which is where the whole event will be held. And I'm really kind of excited about this, and we'll be looking for some help decorating on Friday, and some help set up on Saturday with like food and tables and things. And I'll probably be contacting some of you directly, but you can also contact me, Mary Woods, woodsmb2@gmail.com, and let me know if you're interested or have any questions. But please, if nothing else, please come bring a story. You don't have to tell me ahead of time. Just something that's maybe like 5-minute-ish long. Could be a song, could be a dance, could be a picture, anything that tells about bodhisattva-like activity, whether they are Buddhist representations or other things. Oh, and bring a goodie, savory or sweet. Finger food is preferable.
Thank you, Mary.
The biggest goodie you can bring is yourself.
And your story. So I just want to share with people, because I'm so happy about it. We just finished the 3rd class of the Equanimity and Diversity series, and about 22 people attended regularly. And it's on the KCC Media website, so please listen. The handouts are also there, which are quite good to look at, to sort out what's going on within you with race, gender, class issues. Very helpful. And we're going to have a continuing, more informal discussion group, which you can join even if you didn't take the class, if you will listen to those teachings online. And I think our first group will be sometime in December, possibly January on a Saturday, likely for just an hour and a half, to kind of refresh ourselves and make sure when we go out in the world, those issues are so potent right now that we support one another to always function through equanimity for every single being. Then this Tuesday afternoon, 1:30 to 3, is the Death and Dying Practice Group here. If you have questions, you talk to Carolyn. Okay, back there. And this Wednesday will be Chenaezig practice, as always. So come, practice some more. And then this Friday is the first Friday of the month, so the young adults group will be meeting, I do think, at 7 to 8:30. Winter retreat. Oh, wait. First of all, New Year's retreat here, December 31st all day, January 1st all day. That will be led by a team of teachers. We don't know quite what the sort is yet, but we'll be here. And please come for any part of that retreat. And on the actual January 1st, Lama Michael will be giving the refuge vow around 4 o'clock on that day. And so if you are wanting to take refuge, it would be good to talk to one of us teachers so that we can kind of chat it over with you and let Lama Michael know. And if you want to come and renew your refuge vow, that's quite potent too. You have it, you formally renew it. It's said it can purify all the ways we break it during the year. So then winter retreat. You want to talk about that?
No, they're pointing at me. I think you almost all know about it. But for those who don't, and for those who don't, it's going to be 2 months from February 15th to April 13th. You have 2 days to do your taxes when you get back, if you do the whole time. But it's intended mainly for people to come for 5 days or more. But there will be, if we hope, we're going to arrange 2 weekends or two time slots where people who can only come for briefer periods of time can come. This is for self-directed practice. We follow a schedule together and come together in the evening in our own rooms doing practice, and then we come together in the evening to recite some prayers and do a little bit of calm abiding together. It's important to have somebody help you design your program of practice, particularly if you've not already done this. Then if you've not already done this, you need to have talk with whoever your mentor is to come up with a program of practice. Because if you just go and sit all alone by yourself without really a kind of a clear idea, it can be a bit challenging. So I do hope that people will consider joining us for this. You have some more on that?
Well, I was just going to say the registration is, as of today, open for the New Year's retreat, but not yet for the winter retreat, but it will be. Bit slowly.
This Wednesday night after Chenaezig, will it be the typical available for Q&A after?
Should be, yes.
It's likely we need a couple people to help set up the potluck lunch now. So are there a couple people who would go down and help do that? Okay, Suvanch and our new friend.
Thomas.
Welcome. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's go down, bundle up. It's cold down there.
And if you haven't had a chance to say hello to any of us teachers, if you're new or newish here or returning after a while or for any other reason, please come say hello.